Morning, guys and gals. Froggy here. Sorry, I cannot seem to get much light in here, but I think you'll be able to follow me. This is my Frigidaire dryer, gas dryer, called Affinity, and the belt broke. We had trouble with the washer, and the washer was broke, and it left a load of wet clothes in there. So my wife took the 25 or so pounds of wet clothes and put them in the dryer and broke the dryer belt. So they're both down. But anyway, I got the belt for the dryer and the part is coming today for the washer. So with a little luck, I should be back in business today. There are a lot of videos about how to replace a belt on a dryer, and they're all kind of similar, but I'm going to show you this one for this particular gas dryer, and hope it helps you out. First thing is access. Disconnect your vent so you can drag the beast out from against the wall. Mine has a little storage box underneath and they're bolted together. Oh, sorry, camera's not focusing. Come on, old camera. There, so unplug it. I'm going to probably angle this because you're going to have to get to the front and the back. Yikes, what a mess back there. Take the two screws off the back and pull this top cover loose off the dryer. Set it aside. Well, lucky for you, the camera was off or you would have heard me cursing because I knocked this drain pipe out of the hole when I was moving stuff around, and of course it was full of water from the last load on this, so it went all over the floor. Son of a bee. Okay, so here's your drum, and here is not your belt, so you can see obviously the belt is broken. It's supposed to be running around right there. I like to tip the dryer up like this. Yours may or may not be on top of one of these storage bins, but you need to get at screws down there, and I may have an issue with the storage thing. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so Froggy's going to jump around a little bit here. I'm going to take this control panel off next. I was going down below, but that's for a different kind of dryer. So we may or may not need to go down there. So trying to remove this control panel, and on my model you've got to remove the screws on the top that go through these plastic tabs, plus there's screws you reach inside on the bottom, so there's 4 screws on each side, and I think that one didn't have to come out. I took it out anyway, but this one, where that plastic tab goes, and then that'll loosen it up. And then you can disconnect your connectors right there. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is, I did have to take this off, but I'm just going to lay it on top. I don't think I have to get into any of that for the belt. I think this front panel has to come off next, and I might be able to leave the door on. I'm all for shortcuts. Okay, now remember, we've got the 2 screws on the bottom of this door out, and I pulled on it and it came loose on the bottom. I think we have to go for these screws here, right where my finger just touched it. There's one on each side there. I'm going to do those. Well, alrighty, I think we're getting somewhere. So I disconnected those 2 connectors for wiring that goes to the control panel. And the rest is attached to the door. The rest of the wiring that didn't have disconnectors on it is attached to the door. So that whole thing just kind of comes off. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think you just reach in and loop the belt around at this point. Let me look at it. Well, there's the busted belt laying there like a busted belt. I'm gonna vacuum because it needs it. And then I'm going to stick my arms in there and stick my hands in there and eyeball it and see what I think. Before I get into trying to shove the belt back on, which has to ride back here, I might have to go around the back to get it onto the pulley and the tensioner. That's fine. These screws here hold the little tumbler vanes, I would call them. It looks like the middle one is missing all around, so if I find those in the bottom of the dryer, I'm going to replace them, stick them back in there. But it's funny that it's the middle one and the middle one and the middle one, and it's always the middle one. So I don't know, maybe that's how they put it together. It's really hard to say. I am going to go in the back and take a look at the back. I think I'll have to pull a panel off. Here's the old belt, and looking at it, I can tell what happened. So my wife puts in too much weight in the drum. The motor spins because it's a strong motor, and the belt doesn't go anywhere. So that motor pulley is spinning on the belt, and eventually it gets hot and just melts it and breaks it. So don't overload your dryer. Here's the old belt laid out inside the new belt, and it appears the new belt might be a touch short, but then again the old belt might be stretched out some, so I'm going to give it a try. I do not think this new belt is an OEM, which pisses me off because these websites and these online sellers, and I'm not going to name names, but you know who I mean, it starts with an A. The advertising says original OEM, and then in little bitty fine print you can barely read, it says replacement. So you think you're buying an original OEM and you're getting a replacement. So that pisses me off. So the replacement says WE 12 by 82, whatever, it's probably 82 inches maybe. And there's the markings on the OEM that broke, made in the USA. And I'll try and read the part number. Something 3450, 3500. It might be a 13450, 3500, but you know, don't take that for 100% correct. I'm just trying to help you out as best I can. Just a little, take you on a tour around the dryer. That's the burner. This is a gas dryer, so that fire, there's fire there, and that just radiates heat up against the drum. And that's why I cleaned as much dust as I can out of there. This is the motor, and it's got a blower on it, and the blower blows. All right, so the blower evacuates. I think it blows the heated air out the vent. So heat coming there, air more or less circulating and blowing out the vent. Okay? Going to the back. Take that off, 4 screws. Actually, it was 2 screws and 2 tabs. My bad. I'm going to get the vacuum and vacuum some more here. And I am seeing that's where I have to wrap that belt around. So I think I'm going to get at it right from here. I don't have to take this back panel off. Yoo-hoo! Woo! So this tensioner will actually, it's not attached to anything. Well, it is attached, but it'll fall right off. But I don't think it's broken. The wheel is good. I'm going to put some grease down there because it was squeaking. Squeaking might have been the belt, or it might have been as this moves, as it tensions, it moves like that. And the other end, the spring that provides the tension goes into a little hole there. So I'm going to take this out and take it to my bench. And belt wants to go on. Okay. This is some disc brake lube, so it's high temperature because disc brakes get hot. Prevent disc brake squeal. This is German ATE, so I use it on my brakes when I do brakes on my Corvette. And so I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to use something else that's a penetrating lube that turns into a grease. Let me show you. So it's this stuff here, GM Super Lube. They claim it turns into a grease after application, so it goes on as a lube. Here, I'll show you. Let's prop that up a little bit. Oh yeah. There. See how wet it was when it goes on, and supposedly will turn into a grease. Who knows? We'll see. Can you imagine? This dryer was built in 2006, so this is 19, 16, it's 13 years old, and that's never been lubed before, so hey, it needs a little lube. I wiped the excess lube off that pulley because I don't want to go spinning all over the inside of the dryer once it starts running. The belt has a groove side. I put the groove side towards the pulley because the pulley has also grooves in it. So nobody tells you which way to put it. I'm doing it that way, and if somebody thinks that's wrong, you can put it down in the comments, but I think that's right. And then twist it and make sure you don't have it flipped. I had it flipped here. It was flipping itself 180 degrees, so I had to do it by hand. And now it's all facing the same way. Grooves in towards the drum, grooves in towards the pulley. All right, tensioner looks like it's on there. I'm going to start buttoning up. Put this panel on first and everything in reverse. Okay, let me catch you up. Going back together, the two screws on the bottom. I use that little piece of wood there to leverage up to align the holes. That's a little froggy tip for you. Now we're going to get this control panel on the top and finish securing this front panel to the frame. Okay, so I want to test this before I shove it all back in there because it's a big pain to shove it in, drag it back out. So I got a little extension to get some power to it. I'm going to put it on heavy duty maximum. I want to see that the heat comes on and the drum spins. And this is dangerous, all right? It's not supposed to be open, so you've been warned. It's dangerous. So I'm listening for a click noise. That's a solenoid on the burner. Excuse me, squeezing through here. And I'm going to put my hand down here and see if I feel some heat coming out. I just heard the click. I don't know if you could hear the click, but I heard the click. Yeah, and I feel warm air coming out there. So it's working. So, all right, we're done. Let me wrap it up and give you any tips that I might have. When I put the vent hose right there back on, I use some aluminum tape. It's like masking tape, only it's made out of aluminum, to secure the connections, and that seems to work pretty good for me. I like that. I also put a metal clamp. See if I can show it to you. Yeah, right there in the middle of your screen, there is a metal clamp that I used also. And then inside, also make sure that everything is secure as far as that vent inside, especially if you have a side vent, because a side vent means they had to run some ductwork inside the dryer. So make sure that's all sealed up. You don't want the lint blowing loose inside the dryer. That's not a good thing. Everything's working now. You can level it if it gets out of level. There's some screw legs on the bottom. You can level it. This is the belt I put on there, and I will give you a link to it. And I'm going to give it 3 stars because it worked. At the end of 18 months, I'll change it to 4 stars if it's still working. And at the end of 3 years, I'll give it 5 stars. But right now, I don't know how good the belt is. All I know is it did fit. But, it has to last also. I don't want to be doing this job every year or 2 years or even every 3 years. It's a 13-year-old dryer, as I think I told you, made in 2006. I'm not focusing very well. And I'll try and get the number off the OEM belt. I gave it to you once. I'll try and look at it a little closer on my desk. So you can see the cracks on the old belt. But yeah, it still would have kept going except for the overloaded load in the dryer. This is what they gave me from Amazon. So I can't really read anything off of the belt. That might be the original part number, but I am not promising that. Okay, if this helps you out, give me a thumbs up or a like. If you want more from Froggy, subscribe to my channel. If you want notifications, click on the little bell. Be safe, have fun. Froggy out. Bye-bye.